During a late-night project, my coworker whispered, "We can't keep pretending this isn't real." I replied, "This could destroy us." He smirked, "Then why did you hold my hand under the table?" My supervisor asked, "Are you two seeing each other?" I realized my secret affair was about to blow up in front of everyone. I don't even know where to start. I guess the easiest way is to just tell you I never thought I would be this person. I never thought I'd be the kind of woman who could lie straight to her husband's face, go to work, and pretend nothing was happening while sneaking glances at the man I was sleeping with. But here we are. I've been married to Ryan for 12 years. We have 2 kids. We have a house in Naperville, Illinois, the kind with a backyard big enough for birthday parties, a good school district, friendly neighbors. We have the life we were supposed to have. But marriage isn't what I thought it would be. Ryan and I started as that couple who held hands in grocery stores, who texted, "I miss you," in the middle of the day. That was years ago. Now, we're practically strangers living in the same house. We don't fight. We don't talk much either. It's just about logistics, what time to pick up the kids, what bills need to be paid, what's for dinner. Somewhere along the way, I stopped feeling like a person and started feeling like a task manager in a dead relationship. Then came Nathan. Nathan is my coworker. We work in marketing for a big-name tech company in Chicago. He's sharp, funny, easy to talk to, and he listens, actually listens. The kind of guy who notices when you change something about yourself, who makes you feel interesting just by looking at you. I noticed him right away when he joined the company, but it wasn't like that at first. We just got along. We worked well together. The late nights started because of deadlines, not because we were looking for an excuse to be alone. But something shifted. I don't even know when it started. Maybe it was the way he'd lean in when I talked, like he actually cared about what I had to say. Maybe it was how he could make me laugh, even after a 12-hour workday. Maybe it was the first time he touched my arm, just a small touch, but I felt it everywhere. I told myself it was harmless. It was just work flirting. Everyone does it, right? It's normal to have a little crush. Then one night, we were the last 2 people in the office. We were working on a presentation for a massive client, the kind of project that had the whole team pulling overtime for weeks. It was late, way too late. I was exhausted, half running on caffeine and stress, and I made some dumb joke about quitting and running off to a beach where no one needed marketing campaigns. He smiled at me. Not just any smile. The kind of smile that makes your stomach drop. "You're the only reason I still care about this place," he said. The air got heavy. I should have laughed it off. I should have changed the subject. I should have gone home. Instead, I whispered, "We can't keep pretending this isn't real." His eyes didn't leave mine. "This could destroy us." He smirked, and his voice dropped lower. "Then why did you hold my hand under the table?" "Because I had." I don't even know when that started. At meetings, our hands would brush. Sometimes, they'd stay there for a second too long. Sometimes, he'd squeeze my fingers, and I'd squeeze back. No one noticed. Until someone did. That night, I kissed him. It was just one kiss. Just a stupid, reckless, desperate kiss in an empty office where no one could see us. But that was the beginning of the end. It turned into something I couldn't control. Nathan and I became a routine. Coffee breaks that lasted too long. Texts at midnight under my covers while Ryan slept next to me. Small touches. Lingering glances. Jokes that had hidden meanings. We told ourselves it was fine, just a little secret, just something fun. Then, in New York, it stopped being innocent. We were there for a work trip, staying at a nice hotel, the kind with bars that make you feel like someone else. We had been drinking. Not a lot, but enough. We went up to his room just to talk. That's what I told myself. We didn't just talk. I remember standing at the door, telling him I should go. And he said, "Then go." I didn't. I don't need to spell out what happened next. After that, it wasn't a one-time thing. We told ourselves it was just this one trip. That we'd go back to normal when we got home. That it wasn't serious. It was never just once. We started finding places. Hotels. His car. Office closets when no one was around. It wasn't just the sex. It was the way he made me feel. Seen. Wanted. Like I wasn't invisible. But the guilt? The guilt was constant. I'd go home, kiss my kids goodnight, crawl into bed next to Ryan, and feel like the worst person in the world. I'd delete messages. I'd check my reflection to make sure I didn't smell like Nathan's cologne. I'd tell Ryan I love you, before rolling over and staring at the ceiling, wondering when I became this person. Then I got careless. It was a Tuesday. We had a strategy meeting, nothing special. Nathan and I sat next to each other, like always. The meeting was dragging. I wasn't even paying attention. Then, under the table, Nathan reached for my hand. It was so fast. Just a quick squeeze. A stupid, meaningless squeeze. I should have pulled away. I didn't. And Michelle saw. Michelle is my supervisor. She's been in the industry forever. She notices everything. She stopped talking mid-sentence. Looked straight at me. Then at Nathan. then back at me. And then, in front of everyone, she asked, "Are you two seeing each other?" Silence. I felt my stomach drop. My heartbeat was in my throat. My vision blurred. Nathan was still. Too still. Someone chuckled nervously. I forced out a laugh. What? No. Michelle didn't say anything. She just stared. The meeting moved on, but I knew it was too late. She knew. And if she knew, it was only a matter of time before everyone did. I spent the rest of that meeting in a haze. My body was in the chair, but my mind was somewhere else, somewhere dark, where everything was falling apart. Michelle's question wasn't casual. She hadn't asked out of curiosity. She knew. And Michelle wasn't the type to let things slide. She ran this department like a machine, and anything that could ruin the company's reputation, she handled it fast. I stole a glance at Nathan. His face was unreadable, but his jaw was tight. I needed to talk to him. The second the meeting ended, I rushed out, my hands shaking so badly that I fumbled with my phone. My whole body felt electric with panic. We need to talk. Now. I saw his head lift at his desk. He didn't text back. He just stood up, straightened his tie, and walked toward the hallway leading to the private meeting rooms. I followed, forcing myself to act normal. The moment we were inside, I shut the door. "What the hell was that?" I whispered. She saw. His voice was quiet. Steady. Too steady. I was unraveling, but he wasn't. And that scared me even more. "What do we do?" He sighed and ran a hand through his hair. "We deny it. Obviously. She doesn't believe us. Doesn't matter." I shook my head. He didn't get it. He didn't have a family at stake. He didn't have a husband at home who trusted him. "Ryan is going to find out," I said, my voice breaking. "If she tells HR," Nathan stepped forward and grabbed my hands. His grip was firm, his touch warm. "We don't panic." I pulled away. "That's easy for you to say. You're not the one." The door opened. I jumped back. Michelle stood there, arms crossed, her expression blank. Conference room. Now. I didn't move. I couldn't. Her eyes flicked to Nathan. "Both of you." My stomach flipped. This was it. Nathan walked out first, completely calm. I followed, my legs weak, my heart racing. The room she led us to wasn't the usual meeting room. It was smaller, HR's office. The second I stepped inside and saw the head of HR, my whole body turned cold. Michelle sat down. "Here's the thing," she started, fingers laced together. "I don't care what you do outside of work. But if your situation affects this company, then I have a problem." Nathan leaned back in his chair. "There is no situation." Michelle smiled. The kind of smile that made my stomach twist. "Right. So if I were to check security footage, I wouldn't find anything questionable." I felt like I was going to be sick. "Or," she continued, "if I spoke to the multiple employees who have noticed the two of you sneaking off together, I'd hear the same thing?" That this is all in my head? I couldn't breathe. Multiple employees. More than just Michelle had noticed. HR shifted in their seat. "Look, this is simple. If nothing is going on, then there's no issue. But if something is, it needs to stop. Now." Nathan was silent. I forced myself to speak. "There's nothing." Michelle tilted her head. "Then I assume this will be the last time I have to pull you two into a room like this?" Nathan nodded once. Confident. "Cool. Like this was just another Tuesday." I nodded too, but my whole body felt numb. Michelle stood. "Great. Meeting over." I walked out of that room in a daze. Nathan disappeared down the hallway without a word, and I didn't follow. I just grabbed my stuff and left. I barely remembered the drive home. I walked into the house, trying to act normal. Ryan was on the couch, scrolling through his phone. The TV was on, but he wasn't watching. The kids were upstairs. He barely looked up. "You're home late." I swallowed the panic in my throat. "Yeah. Big project." Figured. That was it. No suspicion. No weird looks. No proof. But I couldn't shake the feeling that the walls were closing in. Nathan was fine. Michelle couldn't prove anything. So why did I feel like everything was about to come crashing down? The next morning, I walked into the office, determined to act like nothing happened. I forced a smile, made small talk, pretended I wasn't terrified. Then I opened my email. Subject, urgent from, anonymous. I clicked. And my blood turned to ice. Attached was a picture of me and Nathan. At the hotel in New York. Walking into his room. There was no caption. No message. Just the picture. And below it, 3 words. "Does Ryan know?" I stared at the screen, my entire body frozen. My hands hovered over the keyboard, but I didn't know what to do. My first instinct was denial. Maybe this was fake, photoshopped, a sick joke. But I knew better. I knew it was real. The angle, the lighting, the way I was glancing over my shoulder before stepping inside Nathan's hotel room. There was no explaining this away. I looked around the office, my pulse hammering. Was someone watching me? Did someone here send this? I clicked on the email address. No sender name. No company domain. Just a generic Gmail address. A cold sweat broke out on my neck. Who sent this? How long have they been watching? And the biggest question, what do they want? I stared at the email, heart pounding, then clicked reply. Me. Who is this? No response. I waited, staring at my inbox like I could will an answer into existence. Nothing. My phone buzzed. A text from Nathan. Nathan, we need to talk. Now. My stomach dropped. I grabbed my phone and walked straight to the back stairwell, our usual place when we needed to talk in private. Nathan was already there, his jaw tight, phone in his hand. You got the email, he said. I nodded. Did you? He flipped his phone around. Same email. Same picture. Neither of us spoke for a second. Just the distant hum of the office beyond the stairwell door, our breathing, the weight of whatever the hell this was crushing down on us. I swallowed hard. Who could have taken this? Nathan didn't answer right away. He was thinking, calculating. Then, his face hardened. This isn't random, he said. What do you mean? He took a slow breath, then lowered his voice. I think I know who sent this. I blinked. What? He glanced at the door, then back at me. A few weeks ago, my wife started acting weird. My stomach clenched. Weird how? She stopped asking about work. Started leaving the house at odd hours. And then, one night, I woke up and found her in the guest room. With her laptop. She shut it the second I walked in. Cold dread crawled up my spine. You think she hired someone to follow us? I don't know, he admitted. But she's never acted like this before. And now, suddenly, we get a picture like this? I felt like the ground beneath me was shifting. But if she knows, I said slowly, why hasn't she confronted you? Why send the email? He exhaled, rubbing his forehead. Because she doesn't want a divorce. If she really wanted to blow this up, she would have sent it to Ryan by now. I swallowed the lump in my throat. Then what does she want? His phone buzzed. He glanced down at the screen, his face turning pale. Without a word, he flipped it toward me. Another email. This one wasn't from the anonymous account. It was from his wife. Subject, we need to talk. I felt sick. Nathan clenched his jaw. I have to go home. I nodded, my thoughts racing. He left without another word, and I stayed in the stairwell, gripping my phone, heart pounding so hard it hurt. Nathan's wife knew. And if she knew, then it was only a matter of time before Ryan did too. A text. Unknown number. Check your car. A sharp chill ran down my spine. I didn't move at first. I just stared at the message, a dozen scenarios running through my head. I forced myself to stand, forced my legs to work as I made my way out of the building. I stepped into the parking garage, the air thick with gasoline and city noise. My car was in its usual spot, nothing looked off. But then I saw it. A white envelope tucked under my windshield wiper. I looked around. The garage wasn't empty, but no one was watching me. I grabbed the envelope with shaking hands and slid back into my car, locking the doors. Inside was a single piece of paper. Tell Ryan the truth before I do. My vision blurred. I dropped the note, my breath coming fast and shallow. Who was doing this? How long had they been watching? And how much longer did I have before everything exploded? I sat in my car for what felt like an eternity, gripping the note so tightly that my fingers ached. My head was spinning. I felt trapped in a nightmare I couldn't wake up from. Someone, Nathan's wife, Michelle, or some other unknown enemy, was forcing my hand. Tell Ryan before they do. My chest tightened. I couldn't do it. But what choice did I have? If Ryan found out from someone else, it would be so much worse. I took a shaky breath, put the car in drive, and headed home. Ryan was in the kitchen when I walked in. He was making dinner, something he hadn't done in years. The sight of him slicing vegetables, humming softly under his breath, made my stomach churn with guilt. I set my bag down on the counter. We need to talk. He glanced up, sensing something in my voice. His face shifted from relaxed to cautious. Okay, he said, wiping his hands on a dish towel. What's going on? My throat tightened. Say it. Just say it. My voice cracked. I made a mistake. Ryan frowned. What kind of mistake? Tears burned at the back of my eyes. I cheated on you. Silence. For a second, he didn't react at all. Just blinked, like he hadn't heard me. Then, his jaw clenched. With who? His voice was eerily calm. I swallowed. Nathan. A sharp, bitter laugh escaped him. Nathan? From your office? I nodded, unable to meet his eyes. Another laugh, this one louder, angrier. Jesus Christ. I should have known. The late nights, the sudden interest in work trips, he shook his head, rubbing his temples. How long? I hesitated. How long? I couldn't lie. Almost a year. His whole body went stiff. That was the final straw. You've been lying to me for a year? His voice cracked, something breaking inside him. Sleeping next to me, telling me you love me, coming home to our kids, while sneaking off to be with him? I covered my mouth, trying to hold back the sob that threatened to break loose. I never wanted to hurt you. He slammed his fist against the counter, making me jump. Bullshit. You didn't want to get caught. I started crying. Hard. But Ryan didn't comfort me. He didn't soften. Instead, he took a deep breath, straightened his posture, and steeled himself. Get out, he said. I froze. What? I can't look at you right now. Pack a bag and go. Ryan, please, Gio. His voice was like a whip, raw and full of rage. I stared at him, my world crumbling around me, and realized this was it. I had destroyed everything. I turned, walked up the stairs on shaking legs, and packed a bag through blurry vision. The sounds of our kids playing in the other room made it 100 times worse. I wanted to tell them goodbye, but I didn't deserve to. I stayed at a hotel that night. Nathan called, twice. I didn't answer. By morning, my phone was flooded with texts. Ryan, I told the kids you're staying at a friend's. Ryan, don't come home. Ryan, I'll call a lawyer. I wanted to throw up. At noon, I finally texted Nathan. Me, did she say anything? He responded instantly. Nathan, she's filing for divorce. Wants everything. My hands shook. Me, I'm so sorry. He didn't text back. That evening, Michelle called me into her office. I think we both know why you're here, she said, her tone unreadable. I nodded. HR is reviewing the situation, she continued. Regardless of personal choices, workplace affairs create complications. We need to discuss next steps. My stomach twisted. I'm fired. Michelle exhaled. You put this company in a difficult position. We can't risk this turning into something bigger, something legal. I'm giving you a choice. You resign quietly, or we go through formal termination. I nodded again. There was nothing left to fight for. The next few weeks were a blur of legal meetings, silent phone calls, and an unbearable emptiness. Ryan was cold. He spoke to me only when necessary. Everything became about the kids, coordinating visits, dividing responsibilities. He refused to look at me for too long, as if the sight of me physically hurt him. One night, after dropping the kids off, I lingered at the door. Ryan, he exhaled, closing his eyes. What? I never stopped loving you. He let out a bitter laugh. You don't do this to someone you love. I bit my lip, feeling small. I was lost. I made mistakes. You destroyed me. His voice was quiet but firm. You don't come back from that. Tears welled up. Can you ever forgive me? He held my gaze for a long time. Then, finally, he said, I don't know. And he shut the door. I lost everything. My marriage. My home. My job. Nathan and I tried to stay in touch, but it didn't last. It was never love. Just an escape. I moved into an apartment alone. On the nights the kids stayed with Ryan, I sat in silence, staring at the empty walls, drowning in regret. I never thought I'd be the woman who cheats. But I was. And I paid the price.